everybody. So yeah, just a quick intro to this video. You've seen the first three hopefully, and what I've been doing is creating multiple spiders to write to one database and one table within that database. And you're going to join me shortly carrying on with refining some of the fields in the database, and then I'm going to add past details which will drop down into the story level for the newspaper or the newspaper website. It will get the story, the author. We're going to look at using xpath with contains and also using not contains, and we are going to join together two predicates. So a predicate is the bit inside the square brackets in plain English. So yeah, let's get straight to the video, and I hope you enjoy it. And can't always promise there's going to be so many videos in such rapid succession going forwards, but I hope you've enjoyed them. And yeah, any requests, just let me know. Comment, subscribe, and all that. Yeah, so let's pipelines. We need to change this to medium text, and we don't need to specify the length because medium text should be about 16 million characters. If we just check that. Here we go. So tiny text is up to 255. Text. Oh, actually, we don't need medium. We could just change it to text. So 2 bytes overhead. I don't think any news story that we scrape from a newspaper will be more than 65,000. So let's just change that. We don't need medium. We'll just stick with text. Timestamp is good. VARHCAR for URL. I don't think the URL will be more than 255, so that's okay. Author. I think we'll leave that. I don't even know if we're going to collect the author, so that can stay as it is. Publication. So VARHCAR, let's just see, let's try and do this properly. So VARHCAR is, car and VARHCAR character types provides us with text types that has more features with car and VARHCAR it cannot cover. Let's just zoom that in a bit. So different from car and VARHCAR, you don't have to specify a storage length when you use a text type. Note that the text data is not stored in the database server's memory. Therefore, when you query text data, MySQL has to read it from the disk, which is much slower in comparison with car and VARHCAR. I don't think we're overly worried about we're not overly worried about that on something like application. So let's try instead, let's just use I'm thinking we could use tiny text. You should use tiny text for the column that requires less than 255 characters, has inconsistent length. Okay, so we will have a consistent length for our publication name. So let's reconsider that. Car and VARHCAR. It's not going to make or break the project, but I think we will just leave that as VARHCAR 255. Title is fine. Okay, so really, that was the only thing we needed to change, and that was the story. So, and if you remember, within my beginner, the start of my spiders, I was just using a pass function, or rather start requests and a pass function. So what we need to do today is to actually get the story from the newspaper is we need to add a pass details. So let's begin by looking at this website. And what I'll probably do is just get this working for Spider 3 because Spiders 1 and 2 will be pretty much the same format, and neither of us are going to actually learn anything by replicating that as well. So ad blocking. Okay, so I think it's detected my ad blocker, is it? Again, okay. I had ad blocker on. Do you see? I just switched it off, so that enabled me to see a bit more of the page. Okay, so what we need to do is find, what should we find? I think at the moment I've been looking for all hrefs and getting the 20th to the 30th. So what type of text is this then? We zoom in on this and we've got classes title. Check another one, classes title. Oh, so it's H2. So we could go through and get all of the H2s. I wonder if that would... Apologies if it's getting confusing because I think I showed you... Also, I showed you Spider 2 and Spider 1. Spider 1, I've actually got a good selector for that. So let's open up Scrapy Shell and see what we can get now with the independent, and we want to get the H2 href. So let's do that. Fetch. Oh, why has it done that? What if... yeah, that's right. I need to put the headers in. And that reminds me of a recent project I did. So, yeah, putting the headers into the fetch, the Scrapy shell fetch command. Just trying to think of the quickest way to do this. In actual fact, let's not do it this way. Let's actually do it from the real spider. So Scrapy crawl spider 3. Helps if you spell it right, doesn't it? News. So it's earlier. I think I might have to have another coffee in a second because I think it feels like I've got the handbrake on my brain. Yeah, there we go. Error 200. No, not error 200. Response 200. Apologies for that as well. Maybe I should get like some mugs made and some merch with sort of error 200 would be my catchphrase. Error 200 on a mug. Would you like that? Okay. Back to here, and let's just actual fact, we wanted to be down here somewhere, didn't we? Let's get these stories down here. What's going on with inspect? Does the ad blocker stuff stop inspect from working even? That's there we go. Right. Let's do, so we'll do Control F and let's just test some xpath. So I didn't want that to happen, so let's be careful. What we need to do is type it all before we. So we want the H2s. Where's, I'm sure it was H2, wasn't it? H2, anybody? No, I can't see the H2 anymore. Am I going mad? Let's just try this then. At class equals title. Okay. And let's do a slash href. No. Okay, so that's finding all of these, but we also want let's go with that then. So let's try, well, we'll start with that. I don't think it's going to be what we finally end up with, but whilst we're doing work in progress, let's run with that. So we want new spider 3, which is the independent one. And instead of that, we will put this into it to do. And I think let's comment that out as well. So let's just put in instead print links. Then we will keep that as a Scrapy selector up here. And we need single quotes outside of the double quotes. And also you need to spell print correctly. I do need to go back and do some more typing practice, I believe. Right. Let's run that again. See what we get. Unexpected indent. Okay. Yeah. Right, try again. Good old error 200. Pipelines are working. Okay, so we still had that for if, oh, that's the robots.txt, right? We don't care about robots.txt at this point. And what did it actually find? Oh, it did a get on one result because we haven't done a for loop yet. Can you see that? So the get just found the first result. We need to do something like for link in links. For link in links. Link dot get. Let's run that. And there we go. We've got many hrefs. And in fact, that's probably too much. And to be honest, I'm just getting stories. So voucher codes, blah, blah, blah. What we want to consider potentially then is, I'm happy that we're collecting all of these lifestyle and sport and travel articles. They're still technically stories. What we probably want to do is just leave out a quick and dirty way to do this would probably just to be use slice and just leave out the last 7 items. I wonder, let's just look up with xpath and look at how to exclude using contains. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pause this because I need coffee, and this will probably be quite boring, and I'll come back with a answer very shortly with using contains and excluding things that don't contain. And well, that was very quick. Right, I've just found this, and what you use is you use contains and you just put not in front of it inside the predicate. So I think I'm going to just copy that and paste it in as a comment into my spider. And now I'm going to go and get my coffee, and I will be back. Well, that appears to have worked. So yeah, I didn't want to bore you with me hacking away at trying to get multiple predicates to work, but surprised myself there. What I've actually done is, I think if you remember, I'm talking as if it was a long time ago. In the video, it's probably 60 seconds ago. But we had, so before I paused it and went off to get my brew, I had lots and lots of hrefs and links, but obviously some were for voucher codes for Audible, Boohoo, Hawaii, Hyperoptic, Serenata Flowers, Feel Unique, Gusto. So there we go, 7. I think all the other URLs were actually good, but I wouldn't say good, but that's a matter of opinion. And you're not interested in my opinion, well, you shouldn't be. So what I've done is I've changed it. Let me just scroll down to the bottom, and now you'll see at the bottom we no longer have voucher codes, which is good because we wanted to exclude the voucher codes, and what we've used is not contains. So the crude way to have done that would have been to have used slice, and you could have created a list and then square brackets, colon, obviously, you know, to slice a list, then you would have done that and then that and then that, or down to -7, whatever. But this has worked. So we've got one predicate, which was the class equals title, and then we've said a second predicate, which is not contains at href https. You can read it anyway. Voucher codes. So we've excluded the voucher codes successfully. So I think that's a small victory. Right. I may put together some sort of collection of useful xpaths and include this double predicate with using not contains. So we've got the links, we've printed the links, and we can start actually putting that into the database in theory, because items URL can actually equal what I'm calling their link. In fact, let's not do it that way. Let's rename it to URL. And at this point, I'm not overly concerned whether it's got the full path in it or not. To be honest, it's going to end up in the database, and there's no specific demand to have it as a clickable link or any. Well, and obviously in a database, you're not going to be clicking on it anyway. If I was like putting it to potentially to a CSV and some end user was going to be clicking on the link to navigate back to the page, then I would obviously have to do, you can do either response.follow, or I would need to use URL lib.parse and then join the domain to the link. So that would then show you what I'm talking about. You see here? So all these links have got independent.co.uk missing from the start, haven't they? I think they all have. Yeah. So if these ended up in a CSV and you clicked on it, then nothing would happen. Whereas those were actually examples of the full URL. But yeah, you can use response.follow if you want to go off and collect from them, which is probably what we will do next. So what we want to do is to follow that URL to get the story. And this is the whole point of this video. So if I'm just going to pause it again, and I'm just going to make a couple of checks and then we'll carry on. Okay, so let's start adding something which is going to take us down to the story level. So we need to write a new function or method called pass details, self response as always. And let's do something like, so within the pass, we need to yield, we need to do, we're still within the for loop, we need to yield response.follow. We need to follow that URL, and then we need to say headers equals self.headers, and callback equals self.pass underscore details, which is our new function, new method which we're about to write. And yeah, I think that's okay. We'll find out in due course. So that will take us to the URL, or let's bring back up the page of the newspaper. So where was that gone? Was it here? Okay, let's do the, I don't remember. Oh, it was independent, wasn't it? .co.uk. So if we follow that, follow that link, and then here we get the story. So Right, quickly, let's get this before we get any... No, go, just go. Right, inspect elements, and that's our story. So, is it all in one block of text? Please say it is. I don't think it's going to be. That would be too easy, wouldn't it? No, it's not. In fact, do we actually want to get all of that? Should we just get the first paragraph just for the time being? I think so. Otherwise, we're going to disappear down a rabbit hole, and it's not going to make good viewing. We know it's paragraph text, and it's... let's get the paragraph text inside here. So div id equals main. Class equals sc dash. Well, I think it's safe to say that's going to be different each time. Let me just zoom in on that as well so you can see it better. Div id equals main. Let's go with that. So on past details, we want to say something like story equals response.xpath. Just do, we know it's a div, don't we? And then at id equals main. Let's just do text to start with. Make sure we put the quotes in. And just do get on that, and then we will just print the story. And I think we need to test it. And it's, well, it's really doing something, isn't it? Stop. None. So it's definitely visiting each of the links. So we know the callback is working. But I don't think it's getting anything from... Let's just go up to the first one and see what's going on. Yeah, no more duplicates will be shown. See dupe filter. Yeah, we've got the duplicate filter on, which is on by default with Scrapy 2.41. It's trying to visit the link, but it's not getting any stories. So why is that? I think safe to say we've got our selectors not quite working. And we could also do if the class contains main wrapper, that would be quite good. I don't actually see why div id doesn't work, so let's just put something in there that is going to stand out in the Scrapy output. So yeah, we're getting a better idea of what's going on here now. So why we're just getting right. I'm going to pause that. I'm going to fix it, and then I will come back and show you. Okay, so for the purposes of this project, I think what we're going to do is we're going to just extract the paragraph text from the details page, the story page. And what I've just done is I've run p/text, and as you can see, it's finding some kind of start of a story. So here we go. I think we'll start by putting that into the database, and I'm not particularly going to focus on passing the story pages, partly because all of the news just is so depressing. I don't really want to spend days reading it and having to look at it. Well, that's my excuse. Right, so far we've learned how to use not contains. We've done response.follow to drop down to the details page. Now we're at the details page level. We've got the story. So this is where we will start putting so items.story, and now we need to move. Previously we had we were using our items class at the pass with the pass method, and now we've added pass details. We actually need to yield to the database at this level. So what have I just done? I needed to put that up here, didn't I? Right, concentrate. So that goes here, and we can remove that from here. And the URL, there's two ways. We could either pass that down, but there's no need because we actually know the URL because we're actually within that in our response. So now we could say something like, rather than items URL equals URL, we will say items URL equals, I think we can do response.url. That should work. So we can start getting rid of this. So that's gone. We've got URL. Okay, publication, that's still the independent, so put that up there. That's done another one. Author and story. We have got the author there, so let's try and get it, shall we? So apologies, I'm looking across on the other screen. Let me drag that across. So do you see here we've got the author? Let's go into that story. And what is that? If we inspect and we see what the author is called. Oh, so again, we've got, how do we do that? We will look for, if you're thinking what I'm thinking, sorry, that's very small. Let's zoom in on it. I think we will look for an href with author in it, and then we will get the text. We sure as hell aren't going to be getting all of these class sc-pkg fa space aqpe. No. Okay, so xpath. Let's just test an xpath, shall we? And that has found one of 33, and I can see there it's found something saying author / Shapi Kosandi, which does not match what we've got here. No. So wasn't expecting this. Wasn't expecting to get 33 authors appear from using this method. Right. Okay, so I'm just going to try something here. I'm just going to try and get bring back up. Where's it gone? Here we go. Let's go into the article. I think I might be able to just use the first one, just slice it as a list. I'm not averse to using a list here because I don't think there's going to be any nice way of getting it. So yeah, what would we do? A contains. Sorry, let me zoom in on that a bit more so you can see it. href. Helps if you get quotes in the right place. Sorry. Why is that not working? That was, is it? Okay, let's just run that. And items author equals, and then we need to use response.xpath. Single quotes. You always got to use the opposite quote type. Let's do text there. Single quote end. Close bracket. Dot get. Actually, if we do get, that will just get the first one. That might actually do it. Let's get rid of author because we've now got it up above. Story we've got. Our title. So we can get title from. I'm going to open a different browser because I think it's easier to see in my Chrome browser on my Linux PC. I know some developers prefer dark, others prefer light. I'm kind of I prefer Sublime Text with dark, but I know a long time ago my good acquaintance CodeMonkey King said he didn't like didn't like the dark background, and to be honest, I think when you're doing developer tools, I definitely agree. Let's find what so we need to go to a news article, and then we just need to pick this out. So what is this? If we inspect H1, I think we could probably, fingers crossed, we can just do a really nice, easy. It's down here now, isn't it? There we go. So there's a bit of lag. Sorry, it's still zooming in. Apologies for that. Right, H1. I'm hoping there's only going to be one H. Oh, a 7. Okay. Let's do that, but we'll slice that. Now, in actual fact, I think I'm going to need to slice this as well. So we'll put 0 there. Paste that in there. Remove the hash. bring it back in line with all the others, because as we know, indentation is indentation is the root of all errors. That's another quote. Maybe I could get that put on a mug. Indentation is the root of all errors. I should copyright some of these phrases, shouldn't I? Who thinks that's going to work? Hands up. Right. I missed. I'm too busy being facetious. I nearly forgot to put that in. Okay, let's run that and see what happens. It should actually yield to the database. So let's just have a little peek at the database as well. So I'm just going to move that across. I set my command. Sorry, I set terminal to always be on top, which is very useful most of the time, but sometimes it's a hindrance. But right, news. Get rid of that error message. What's today's date? Is it the 12th? Did that go in today? Yeah. So that was at 10:38, which was yeah, about an hour ago when I was starting the video. Let's see how many results we've got there now. So we've got 10 null and 10 from the independent, which are those ones we've collected today. And let's just check what the spider is set to, because I've just come back to this and I can't remember whether pipelines is set to... No, it's not. I've commented out. This is very important. So if I uncomment that, it'll delete the table. In fact, let's do that just to make it clean. And right, let's just make this full screen. Zoom in a bit. And Scrapy crawl, new spider 3. I'm not going to run it until it ends. In fact, it's just lots of errors anyway, so that was me being optimistic. HTML response object is not callable. Okay. I think that's because sometimes it's not getting a response. It's not returning. Let's have a look. What I'm going to do is just, I think I was getting ahead of myself here, so comment that out, and instead let's just print response URL. I think we need to look at the response before we get too far. And I'm not, and let's comment that as well. Okay, run again. In fact, let's clear that just to make it look nice. Cancel, please. And yeah, so now we've got the response URL. So we've got this, is it called the story? Yes. So if we look across here, we've got, we're printing the story, which is that. And then we're printing the response URL, which is good. The publication is good. I think we may need to title. Okay. My suspicion is that it's these with the slicing that are going wrong, because I think I've done that badly, but let's just run it and see what happens. No, we're getting errors there anyway, so let's just see what's gone wrong. Def pass. File unknown. Oh, indentation error. Def pass detail underscore details. Indentation error. I know some people are probably thinking, why do I persist with using such a clunky text editor? And sometimes I'm inclined to agree with you. In fact, I may actually like this because it's quite minimalist and it's not got all the autocomplete and all the kind of the helpful balloons that pop up over your screen and all of the sidebars that keep popping up. Let's just I'm just going to run that again, see if it makes any difference, but then we might have to look a bit deeper. Yeah, I think so. So it's not liking pass underscore details. I'll probably fast forward through this bit. So has it worked at all? That's what we want to find out. We want to actually establish, has it worked anywhere? If it's worked in some places, then that kind of suggests we might have to just use a try and accept kind of thing. So no, it appears to have not worked at all. It's created the columns, but yeah, that's not much use to us. So just going to pause it here and do some head scratching. Back in a second. And yeah, the eagle-eyed amongst you will have noticed I've still got the quotes around story. So I'm not putting in story. Let's just put story in response.url publication. So we assume that we're not getting the correct values to put in. Let's just put in the hard code some dummy values here just to try and get to the bottom of why it's falling over. If this works, then we've narrowed it down to these two being the issue, which will be nice. So let's run that again. empty database as you can see. Run it again. Yeah. Let's quit that. Indentation error again. Unexpected indent. This is starting to get a little bit, I won't say annoying, but I wonder if the problem is not actually, yeah, it's probably not with that itself, it's probably with the line before, so. Just check the database, we probably haven't got anything in there. Clumsy. Right, check the database, refresh. Browse. Okay, we've got nothing in there, so let's just run it again. Now that I've put in some dummy data for story and so on. Nope. We've got a working spider for the independent, and let's just leave it on top there so you can just about see what's going on, and I'll keep refreshing. You can see, right, so we're up to 11 results. Refresh again, we're up to 12, and we're getting a title, we're getting URL, publication, author. I think I've just spotted something. Yeah, the story is only one letter. And I know why that will be. That will be because I'm slicing something. Right, let's cancel that. And I'll just explain what I did elsewhere. So let's just zoom in on that. So yeah, past details is the bit that I've added today. And yeah, I don't need to slice story. Story is the paragraph text from the response. Let's run that again, and we should at least get more than one character for the story. You can see here I'm getting a paragraph text for the story. The title is H1 text. And if you look at this, you can see H1, which is this. And then we've got the usual. So we've got URL equals response.url. So that's quite neat. We just, with that one command, we get the full URL from here, which is the response, which is the response from here, which is what we got from our original parse method. Yeah, so author and title were the only other things to, yeah, well, I've got title. I had that in the comment and I forgot I'd actually done it. Author, yeah. Let's so now we've got it working. Right, let's run it once more and just check that we're getting the full story. And is it clearing out the database? Let's just have a quick look down there. Yes, it's dropping the table. So if we go into phpMyAdmin, we should see that we've cleared all those out and we've got 2 or 3 results. So it should just show about 3 results. Yeah, there we go. And there we go. We got the story now. So this is looking quite good. So the last thing to get is the author. So let's just cancel that. And if you remember, I actually looks at getting a selector for the author earlier. So let's just implement that. So let's just do I need to take that slice out. I hadn't had enough coffee earlier and I was half asleep, and really you don't need that there because that will just get let's run it. There we go. Let's see what we get, and then I'll talk about it afterwards. So again, we should have cleared out the database, so those 3 results would have gone, and then we've probably got 3 brand new ones. And there we see author. That was the problem. So in fact, we do need to slice it. So let's cancel that, because Shapi Kosandi is not the author of every single article. So we think that the first occurrence of author will be the actual author of the article. So let's run that again. Go across to the database. It will be getting deleted. And author is Shapi Kosandi. I don't think, no. Okay, so how do we fix that? We don't want the same author for every single article, and how are we going to pick that out? Right. This is quite frustrating because we're on the kind of the home straight here. So yeah, just one little last thing to fix. And yeah. Let's I'm going to paste that back into my browser developer tools. And yeah, there we can see Shapi Kosandi. She's everywhere. Right, let's look at another way how we can get that. So because we know that this is kind of randomly generated, and we can't rely on this. Okay, let's do something like, so let's try and get it from inside the ID equals article header. I don't think it's going to work as is, but we're going to need to combine article header. We didn't take the A out anyway, so let's put in a wildcard there just to get us going. And what does text get us? Nothing. Okay, let's try that with I don't know if this is going to work. No. Yeah, then we're back to 33 again. So we've just got a whole list of authors, and Well, we're definitely going to have to use this. And now I'm just going to go around, I'm going to just Google, and I'm trying to remind myself how to join um, the two predicates together to allow me to drop down to a descendant. I think it's descendant. It's not sibling, it'll be descendant. So just bear with me and I'll be back. Boom. That was pretty quick. So that's relief. We've got the correct selector. So we're looking for the header, the article. Right, okay. Let's just copy that before I lose it and have to try and remember how I did it all over again. So we're looking for the article header, and then we're looking for the href that contains author once we're inside it. So I'm just going to paste that bit over the top of that bit. And I think we should be in business there. So let me just run over that again, because that's quite... it's not something you come across a lot when you're joining predicates in XPath. So first thing is you go up to... I had to keep going up a level until I could find something which had a sensible, reliable title. So I saw article header. I couldn't use these because I can tell that these get generated dynamically and they are gobbledygook, probably to stop web scraping. So I had to go up here to get the header ID. To obviously that is one identifier. And then once I was in that article header, so you can see what's highlighted there, my idea was then that I could then get the anchor, the href that contained author. And this is the key thing here. Do you see one of one? It's quite grey, isn't it? But yeah, one of one. So rather than one of 33 and getting Shapi Kosandi as the author of every single article, one of one. So let's try it. Save. My database is still set to clean itself or clear itself each time I run this. So let's go. We've got, let's run it full screen for a viewing pleasure. I'm fairly confident this will work, but I'm just showing the article, the URL and the story name there. So let's just, this is the moment of truth, and that was always on top, wasn't it? Let's go in here and see what we've got. So I'm teasing you because you can't see the author. Let's go. Oh, hey, we've done it. So spider number 3, which basically spiders 1 and 2, I'm not going to repeat this for because it'll be boring and you won't really learn much. But oh, index out of range. Don't know what happened there. I think that's probably not found. It's probably not found an author or something. I can go back and fix that. I suspect we'll need to do a try except try. Let's just go and have a look. if there's an index out of range, it will be this. So what I would actually just go in and do then will be to do a try and then an accept pass. Let's just put that in. In fact, could I do... Let's just do this. It's not really best practice, but it's because I know that sometimes the articles have bits missing. We don't really want error messages when our code is okay, but the newspaper hasn't put in, for instance, an author name or whatever. So, I think what I'll do is I'm going to screenshot this because I'll put this as a thumbnail or a screenshot in the final video. Just bear with me. I think this is probably, for each video I make, there's usually one or two sort of key, really important bits to pick out. I'm not saying I'll make an hour-long video and, 58 minutes of it is rubbish, but there's usually one really significant bit, and I think this is quite significant, the fact that we've had to use the article header and then use contains, and also remember I used not contains earlier on as well. So yeah, I think when I do the summary at the end of the video, you'll be hearing about joining predicates and also using not contains. So I'll put this into the proper folder in a minute. I've got that little code, the automated code that creates all of my folders when I make videos. Creates me audio, video, PowerPoint, images. You've seen it, hopefully. Or if you haven't, then go back and have a look at the other videos. What was I talking about? Oh yeah, I was just talking about using not contains. So yeah, what I'm going to do, let's just run this one more time. And I've got pipelines set to drop the table if it exists. So we'll do a clear. Hello? I think this is a bug of Linux Mint and definitely not the bug with the VM. Let's every so often terminal just freezes. And Scrapy crawl news spider 3. Spider 3, there we go. Sorry about the typo. Okay, so now this will run. Hopefully it will do the try except where we've got the where it falls over with index 0. Basically that was where there will be an article that has no author name. And it'll just do try except, and if there's nothing for index 0, it'll just carry on. I'm going to let this run. So yeah, to summarize, this third spider, which is also using items, it's also using pipelines.py, the same two files that all of the spiders use. It's using the same database as the other two spiders. It's using the same table. So we've got 3 spiders, 3 publications, 1 pipeline, 1 items, 1 database, 1 table. And I've tried to make that very clear here because it's one of the things which you can't do if you're just using CSV, because it's I've read on Stack Overflow that it's kind of possible, but it's a huge amount of work for minimal gain, really. And the whole benefit of having a another benefit of having a database is if you've got all 3 publications in there, then you can, yeah, you can perform searches across all of them rather than having to open up 3 different CSVs, and just gets messy, doesn't it? And yeah, as you've probably seen in some of my previous videos where I've mocked government use of CSV files, aka Excel. Right, so that's churning away, and you're probably getting bored or need to go and get some food or drink or do some work. So let's just tidy this up. So we should be on, I don't know, 50 odd results by now. Let's set that to 100. How many have we got? Oh, 15. So it's not running that quickly, but better to run slowly than not at all. There we go. Do you see those 2 nulls? So that was what was just, you know, where I did try accept, that was just to get around those. So if we've got an article with no author name, so there we can see all the new stories gradually appearing. Publication, author, story. Again, we could make story bigger, and I could pass the p tags better and more thoroughly, but that's not really the focus of this video, and it would be a bit boring. And in most of my videos I'm trying to get across sort of the concepts rather than the nitty-gritty parsing of some sibling paragraph tag, which is just, yeah. I could spend 10 minutes doing a video, or the video would be 10 minutes longer, and it would not be relevant, and even tomorrow it might not even be relevant to this, so that's my excuse. I'd rather focus on the important things and the fiddly little bits which are one-offs. I'm not avoiding it because it's fiddly, because sometimes doing something fiddly is actually quite good. And I mean, for instance here, that's kind of fiddly, isn't it? We were looking at the article header, and then we were looking where it contained author, and then we were picking out the first author. And there we were using not contains. So we found all of the hrefs, but we didn't want the hrefs that contained, was it vouchers, something like that. So we excluded the hrefs that contained, yeah, voucher codes. It helps if you look at the screen, doesn't it? Right, that's it for now. I think this is kind of a good point to round off this series. So hopefully you've enjoyed this. I'm not the world's biggest database expert, as you've probably noticed, but what I've hopefully proved to you is you can have multiple spiders, one database, one table, and all of this is running on a Raspberry Pi. So yeah, ignore the haters. If you want to learn database, MySQL, SQL, Scrapy, a Raspberry Pi 4 and a Linux Mint VM, how much is all of that? Really, all this is costing me is some electric. Right, on that note, thank you for watching. Check out my other videos. I've got some other Python stuff coming up soon, so if you're tired of web scraping, I will be mixing it up a bit more this year. And if there's any old CNC, Raspberry Pi CNC projects fans out there, then just let me know if you'd like me to resurrect any of the Raspberry Pi, Python, electronics, GPIO stuff. I guess I'm probably a bit rusty and people have overtaken me a bit on that, but I'm more than happy to tinker again and see what happens. And I really recommend Arduino as well. If you're ever at a loose end and you've got an Arduino and an LCD and some buttons, then world's your oyster. And I might put a link in here for you, but look up Pointless Box on YouTube. Is I think it's hilarious, and there's many people out there making them with an Arduino, and yeah, it'll put a smile on your face. So yeah, thanks for watching. I'll see you again. Bye. Yeah, bye.